It's Module 2 time. We start off Module 2 with Colonial America. Um, this module is going to take us all the way to right before the colonies start to turn. So if you look at your Canvas course, and I'm not going to do this for every class, I mean for every module, but I just wanted to walk you through the Canvas since this is the first real Canvas module with assignments and reading. So I'll do it for this module 2 because it's going to be the first one. So if you look, the video introduction is what you're listening to right now and looking at right now. So part A of module 2, it's going to give you the required readings. The PDF listed below, which is American Life in the 17th Century. So you need to read everything in here, and I'll click on it just so you can see what it looks like. And so this first page in any reading, it'll have a prologue, and this is basically going to give you a description of the time period. And in this case, we're talking about the Chesapeake region, these indentured servants that are coming over to the New World to make their fortune. To make their fortune actually in tobacco. They don't find gold like the Spanish do earlier in the New World. So this is the prologue. It's going to give you a description. If you go to the next page, here's the first reading you need to do. Once again, it's going to give you a description of what you're reading. So anything italicized is giving you a description of this recorded object, this primary source right here. So here's another, it's italicized, so it's giving you a description of what this is. And here's the document, very short. So there's a couple, Nathaniel Bacon, you want to pay attention to. And the governor upholds the law. So you're responsible for all these readings. And we'll go back to the module. So that was this one. In addition, required reading is this PDF, which I went through. Also, from the book, Thinking Through the Past, which I stress, you need to have that book. You need to read the entire chapter 3. Now, before you all start freaking out, chapter 3 is fairly short, but I want you to read it. And it's really interesting because it's going to have a secondary source from a historian talking about that time period, but it'll also have some primary sources. And it's talking about how the New World is portrayed to the Old World. And I'm talking about England. How here's the place to make your mark, a lot of opportunity. It's kind of like a salesman trying to sell a house, giving you all the good stuff about the New World. So a lot of interesting readings in chapter 3 and in the PDF primary sources I have listed here. Now, once you read these two parts, or these readings, then I would take the first reading quiz, because this reading quiz A is based off of these readings. And I'm going to click on it just for you so you can see what it looks like. And then you come to reading quiz 2A, the first part of module 2. And mine is a little bit different because I'm into the professor mode, but yours will look a little bit like this. It's going to have a time limit of 15 minutes. And it closes on January 27th at 11:59 p.m. So you have to have completed it by then. And on here somewhere on your screen, it'll say begin. Once you start, you can't stop. It'll time out. You're given a 15-minute time limit. So make sure you've read it. Have your book open. Have the PDFs printed out. So if you kind of have test anxiety, you can always go back and look at that. Okay, now after you take the reading quizzes, I have right here, this is a video lecture on the colonial America. So you are responsible for watching that. I'll click on that right now just to kind of show you what it's going to look like. It has instructions to view the entire video podcast. Actually, these are podcasts or video lectures that I've created, so you'll recognize the voice. And so it's sort of like, well, it is a PowerPoint, but I do speak over it. You want to take a couple of notes when you're watching this video, but don't get bogged down in every minute detail. And as I mentioned up here in the instructions, I'm really good about stressing what I want you to remember while I'm speaking in this lecture. Okay, so that's Module 2, Part A. And then we have a primary source assignment. And this primary source assignment needs to be completed as a Word document and uploaded into the module. So if I click on that, yours will look a little bit different once again, since this is from the professor's point of view, our Canvas sheet. It's going to ask you to choose between Journey to Pennsylvania or American Husbandry of the assigned primary sources in Chapter 3. So just pick one of these primary sources in Chapter 3 of the book, and you complete a primary source analysis. So I've listed out here, tell me from the one you picked, who wrote or created the document, who is the intended audience, when was the document created. It's all in here. I did have one student ask me about bias. They weren't sure, and I want to make sure you understand. Bias is pretty much can be anything regarding you hold a bias, and it comes from where you're at. So me and somebody else, it could be a gender bias. It could be a racial bias. It could be a geographical bias. People from the South in the United States versus people from the North. We have preconceived notions. We have preconceived biases. So bias is a very general term. So when you're reading the document, and for this one and in the future for other primary source assignments, think about who's writing this. And do they have a bias? Can you tell? Some of them, maybe you say they don't have a bias, which is fine. But if they do, tell me what it is. Is it because he's a slave owner? And of course there's a bias. Or because they're wealthy or because they're poor. So that's all a bias is. So complete these, and I expect complete sentences, grammatically correct. This is college. And then upload them into Canvas as a Word document. I kind of give you guidelines of what I'm looking for in this, and upload that. And your primary source assignment is due no later, or uploaded no later than January 28th at 11:59. So that's Module 2, Part A. Part B, it follows the same structure as Part A. Part B follows A. So once again, the required readings. Here there's nothing from the book, but there is a PDF, two PDFs with multiple primary sources. They look just like the ones I mentioned earlier. I showed you earlier up here. So be sure to read both of those, or read all of those that are in there. And then once again, another reading quiz just on this. So the reading quizzes just follow the readings for that part. So this is quiz B because it's the B readings. And then we have 2 video lectures. And then we have the group discussion. And the group discussion I'm still working on, but the group discussion is going to be a Flipgrid. I can show you what the question is going to be. I'm going to have it in Flipgrid form though. But as you're reading all these things, and as you're hearing my lectures, at the end we're going to have this discussion which you're going to present via Flipgrid, and a fellow student will reply to your discussion post, just like you will also. So I'm going to ask you in the podcast and readings, we examine early colonial life in America and focus on reasons why early settlers came to America and how social and economic distinctions start to evolve amongst American colonists and the British. These distinctions between people become clear after the Great Awakening, which we'll talk about in my video lectures and in some of the readings, and the 7 Years' War, which once again I'll talk about in some of the video lectures and in the readings. So for your Flipgrid discussion, you're going to, in front of the camera, you're going to discuss the evolution of early American colonial thinking and beliefs to American colonial thinking and feelings at the end of the module, after the Great Awakening, after the French Indian War. How do colonial Americans feel? How do they see themselves? And you're going to do this on Flipgrid. I'll have it set up. I don't have it set up right now, but I'm kind of giving you an idea of what we're going to be looking for. The Flipgrid post will be just like this last one. Your initial post will be due Wednesday, January 29th by 11:59. And then I expect you to reply no later to a fellow student by Thursday, January 30th at 11:59. Your post is worth 70 points. Your reply, what you said to another student, is worth 30. And your reply has to be not "I liked it" or nothing along the lines of real short, "Oh, sounds good, looks good." No, I want you to listen to the fellow student and reply with some logical, thoughtful analysis on points that they made, that you agree with or you disagree with. All right, so that would be the discussion at the end of this module. And that would be Module 2. So it seems like a lot of work and a lot of reading. And I'll be honest, it is to an extent, because remember, this is a flex course. We're knocking these out. So you know yourself best. You know what you can do. You know your timeline. So get working at your pace when you get a chance. But just remember, the first reading quiz is due no later than January 27th at 11:59. That primary source assignment that you're going to upload via Canvas in Word is due no later than January 28th. The second reading quiz is due no later than January 28th also, just like the primary source. And your colonial life and discussions are due Wednesday of next week, and then your reply no later than Thursday of next week. So you can do, once this is open, which I guess it is open today, because today is Friday, you can do it as fast as you'd like or as slow as you'd like, as long as you make these deadlines. All right, this will be the last time that I go through Canvas and show you each and everything and how it looks, because all the future modules are going to look pretty much the same. In fact, they will look the same. Module 3 will have a video introduction. I won't be doing all of this. I'll probably come on camera and just kind of give you a brief overview of what this week's or this module is going to look like, but it'll be a lot shorter than this one. Okay, that's about it. Good luck, and I hope to have some great discussion posts at the end of this module, and I can't wait to start reading primary source assignments that you'll start turning in no later than January 28th.